Welcome to another edition of the Abrams Boxing Show. I'm Marc Abrams. Got a big show again for you this week. We will have Damian Sosa, who will take on Xander Zayas this Friday night at the Theater, Madison Square Garden, and live on ESPN. I had a chance to talk to him several weeks ago as he was in the middle of training camp. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Over the weekend, 98,000 people jammed into Wembley Stadium in London to see Daniel DuBois go to 22-2 with 21 knockouts as he dropped Anthony Joshua four times in a bout that saw him eventually stop Joshua in the fifth round to retain his IBF heavyweight championship of the world. DuBois came out hard. He dropped Joshua at the end of round one with an overhand right. He continued to just dominate the fight for Joshua again at the end of round three. Once again, early in round four, but in round five, a huge right hand put Joshua down for the count of 10. He tried to get up, rolled over on his shoulder. The time was 59 seconds for Daniel DuBois, who now is, you got to say, he's now a star in the heavyweight division, a star in the sport when you can knock out Joshua as a almost 5-1 underdog. He will now await, hopefully in his case, the winner of the December 21st fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk to maybe once again, hopefully become, will have a undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. But Daniel DuBois, who, Frank Warren for years and years and years has been touting that he's going to be the next big star of the heavyweight division, had the couple of hiccups against Joe Joyce and then again against Usyk. I still think he knocked out Alexander Usyk. I thought that punch was right in the belt line, but what can you say? Maybe he gets another shot at Usyk, maybe in England, maybe in a stadium. So maybe he'll have some home cooking for a rematch if he fights Usyk, or, him and Fury becomes a massive event next year should Fury defeat Usyk in December. Of course, this is one of those great Riyadh season deep cards, and we'll go through the results real quick. IBF super featherweight champion Anthony Cacace went to 23-1 as he defeated former two-time featherweight champion Josh Warrington by unanimous decision. The belt was not at stake as Cacace was supposed to fight Nunez, Eduardo Sugar Nunez, and I guess the IBF gave him an exception. Had he lost, he would have lost the title, but Cacace got through with the victory over Josh Warrington. Scores were 117-111 twice and 118-110 for Cacace. Unbeaten WBO number one ranked light heavyweight Joshua Buatsi won the interim title with a 12-round split decision over number two ranked Willie Hutchinson. Buatsi now 19-0, 13 knockouts. Hutchinson falls to 18-2. Obviously, the interim belt is on the line because we've been waiting for the Bivol against Beterbiev fight, undisputed championship fight that will take place October 12th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. But Buatsi will now stake a claim to fight the winner of that fight. Buatsi dropped Hutchinson twice. Scores were 115-110, 117-108 twice for 115-110 and 117-108. So it was a split decision. Hutchinson, I have no idea how he won a card. 113-112. He was dropped twice at a point deduction, was dominating the fight. Somehow, one judge gave him the victory, 113-112, but Buatsi got his hand raised. WBO number 2, IBF number 5, WBC number 12, super welterweight. Josh Kelly went to 16-1-1. Very lethargic effort against very late replacement Ishmael Davis. Davis replaced Liam Smith. He was supposed to fight Liam Smith, and he had to pull out for a fight. Scores in the majority decision: 115-113, 115-114, and 114-114 for Josh Kelly. A guy who I think, and I'm going to go on a limb here, I believe is the best middleweight in the world. Hamza Shiraz went to 21-0, 16 knockouts, destroyed Tyler Denny, who's now 19-3-3, in 2 rounds of their middleweight fight. Shiraz now, I would love to see a fight with him and the winner of Janibek and Mikhailovich that comes up in next week, October 4th. So we will see. I think Shiraz is tremendous. He's 6'3", can really punch. Yeah, you might say he's a little bit of a front runner or whatever, but you know what? He's been dominating everyone. want to see more of Hamza Shiras on my TV screen, and I think we're going to see him in some big fights very, very soon. Friday night in Glendale, Arizona, WBC number 2, WBO number 5, IBF number 6, and WBA number 10, super middleweight in the world. Jaime Munguia scored a 10th round stoppage over previously undefeated and world ranked WBO number 2, WBA number 4, WBC number 7, IBF number 7, Eric Bazinian. Munguia now 44 and 135 knockouts. Bazinian 32 1-1. It was the main event at the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. It was a close fight early. Munguia kind of established himself, big barrage of shots that put Bazinian down in round 10. Time of the stoppage was 2:36. WBC strawweight champion Melvin Jerusalem retained his title with a one-sided 12-round unanimous decision over Mexico's Luis Castillo in front of a crowd in Mandaluyong City, Philippines. This Friday night at the Madison Square Garden Theater, Sandy Ryan defends her WBO welterweight championship against Michaela Mayer. Very interesting fight as Ryan, who already has a defeat at home, has been defeated at home, has been on a little bit of a roll, got screwed in her fight against Jessica McCaskill, which was ruled a draw. But Mayer is a former world champion, 130. Has been easing her way up the ranks, and then she had the close loss to Natasha Jonas earlier this year. She will now fight Sandy Ryan. You know what? I'm going to pick the upset special. Michaela Mayer walks out of Madison Square Garden with the belt. Co-feature fight will be Xander Zayas taking on Damian Sosa in a super welterweight bout. Sosa's a guy unheralded. Zayas looks to be his toughest fight of his career so far. But we will see what Xander Zayas has in store on Friday night, Madison Square Garden against Sosa, who I had a chance to talk to several weeks ago as he was in the middle of training camp. And this is what it sounded like when me and Damian Sosa discussed his fight for this Friday night against Xander Zayas. Now joining me on the line is junior middleweight Damian Sosa, who takes on Xander Zayas on September 27th at the Theater of Madison Square Garden. How you doing, Damian?
¿Qué onda, bro? Pues aquí, mira, todo bien, emocionados, contentos y entrenando para llegar listos a esta pelea.
Says he's ready for the fight. He's training hard, getting ready for this fight.
This is a tremendous opportunity to be fighting on ESPN on September 27th against Xander Zayas. Talk about the fight and this great opportunity that you have.
De la pelea y la oportunidad que tienes enfrente de ti.
Ok. Pues bueno, yo sinceramente la veo como una de las oportunidades más grandes de mi carrera. Siento que los tiempos ahora sí que de Dios son perfectos y siento que me llegó esta oportunidad en un tiempo muy bueno en mi carrera. Entonces, pues me siento más que listo, emocionado y realmente, pues ya con ansias de que sea ese día.
He's very excited for this opportunity. It's the biggest opportunity of his career. And there's a saying in Spanish that says that God's times are perfect. So if he feels like it's his time and he just wishes that it could come a little bit sooner, he's ready.
Zayas is 19-0, and he's been anointed as maybe one of the next big stars of boxing, being that he's Puerto Rican, fighting in New York. What are your thoughts of Xander Zayas?
¿Qué piensas tú de Zayas?
Bueno, pues realmente su invicto pues yo he enfrentado a peleadores invictos y eso es a mí algo que me suena muy atractivo. Me gusta ese nivel de competencia, el pelear contra un peleador invicto.
He's faced other undefeated fighters. He's faced other fighters that are the next big thing, and all it does is motivate him more to fight against an undefeated fighter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. De mi rival Zayas, pues bueno, es un prospecto, tiene rato siendo un prospecto y yo creo que bueno, es una oportunidad para demostrar realmente el prospecto que es. Bueno, yo me siento realmente un peleador que sigue en aumento, pero sigo perfeccionando mi estilo y me siento totalmente preparado para ver el nivel que tiene Zayas.
He's been the prospect for a while. He understands the task at hand. but he doesn't consider himself just, any fighter. He's getting to contender status as well, and he's ready for the fight.
Um, you mentioned about fighting and beating undefeated fighters. You just scored an upset in your last outing with a win over Marquise Valley. Talk about that, and how has that helped your confidence going into this fight?
¿Cómo te ha ayudado la confianza a pelear, ganarle a un peleador invicto como el que acabas de ganar?
Yeah, mucho, more. Realmente, te lo vuelvo a mencionar, es algo que me gusta pelear con peleadores invictos porque existe esa mentalidad de no querer perder y entregarlo todo en el ring, y me gusta pelear con peleadores así porque yo me entrego totalmente en mis peleas, entonces es algo que me motiva a hacer mi trabajo mejor, por eso es que me gusta pelear con este tipo de peleadores.
That's exactly why he likes to fight against undefeated fighters, because he feels like because they are undefeated, they bring that extra to the ring, and they're gonna, nobody wants to lose that O. So for him, all it is just a challenge, and more than anything, fighting against these fighters keeps him growing as a professional boxer, and he keeps learning from all these experiences.
From what I understand, this fight with Zayas has been brewing. It's been talked about a couple times over the last couple of years. Is this a fight I assume you've been eyeing for a little while?
Que ya tienes rato ya esperando esta pelea.
Sí, realmente ya tiene algunos años que he oído el nombre de Samurai versus Zayas. Se ha escuchado, pero no se ha dado. Pero como te lo repito, los tiempos de Dios son perfectos. Siento que me llegó en un momento muy bueno de mi carrera. Lo chistoso de pelear con Zayas, lo que se me hace un poco raro, es que yo muchos años atrás, cuando comencé mi carrera, recuerdo haberlo visto en la tele. Y no sé, fue siempre un presentimiento de el pelear con él, y mira, hoy en día se me está cumpliendo esto, entonces pues es una oportunidad que no pienso desaprovechar.
Again, he says that God's times are perfect, and he thinks that this fight came at the perfect time in his career when he needed to get it. Yeah, correct. It's been brewing for a while. We've been talking about it for a while. For one reason or another, it just hasn't happened till now. And he says that the funny thing about this fight is that he remembers watching them on TV when him himself was coming up as a fighter, and watching Xander's first fights. And since then, he was already thinking, someday I'm gonna be in the ring with this guy. And here we are now.
This is also a fight that pits a Mexican fighter against a Puerto Rican fighter. Obviously, boxing fans know that's one of the great rivalries of boxing. That excites you a little bit more to add to maybe another great Mexico versus Puerto Rico fight?
Sí, la verdad sí. De hecho, mi última pelea fue México-Puerto Rico y ya viví esa experiencia, ¿sabes? Y me la pasé genial, supe absorber todo eso. Entonces, ahora en New York contra una superestrella como lo dice ser Zayas, fuck, es algo grandioso que estoy agarrando con lo mejor. Yeah.
He already got a little taste. He already got a little taste of that against his last opponent, Valle. He already got that Mexico Puerto Rico feeling and that rivalry, and now to basically move up to the next step and in Xander Zayas, which is top ranks next prospect. He says it's even bigger for him now.
Talk about fighting in New York in Madison Square Garden. That must be a thrill as well.
Pelear en Madison Square Garden, que si eso también es algo que sientes pelear en Madison Square Garden.
Sí, sí, no, es una emoción muy grande una emoción y a la vez un compromiso muy grande conmigo mismo, ¿sabes? Porque hemos trabajado mucho para llegar a estos niveles y la verdad te podría decir que estoy totalmente fascinado con todo lo que está pasando y lo estoy agarrando de la mejor manera posible. Estoy viviendo todo día con día y bien presente de lo que está pasando en mi vida en estos momentos.
He's very excited, obviously, to fight at Madison Square Garden. He savors every day that he's living in this experience. From training to everything, all the interviews, everything that's coming with it. and he's just ready to fight there. He never thought he was going to be at that level or get that opportunity, and now that it's here, he's just enjoying every minute of it.
Incluso estoy sintiendo más la adrenalina que los nervios, ¿sabes? Eso es lo que me está corriendo más en cada entrenamiento, en cada que estoy corriendo, entrenando, pues parreando. La adrenalina es lo que ahorita siento como me corre por el cuerpo. Y todavía faltan 2 meses casi. Eso, puta.
He says he feels more than excitement, everything else that was running through his veins right now is just pure adrenaline. He's just, and it makes him laugh because he says that it's still 2 months away, so that adrenaline level is going to be even higher. So he's ready to go every sparring session, when he's running, when he's sparring, when he's training. That's all that's in his head.
What do you want to say to the fans in closing before we see you in the ring in about 6-7 weeks on September 27th, live on ESPN? You take on the undefeated Xander Zayas on ESPN.
El invicto Xander Zayas, ¿qué le quiere decir a tu afición en esa pelea?
Pues a toda mi afición, a toda la gente que me sigue, tengo bastante gente que incluso he visto si me permites comentarte, cuando se publicó el flyer que iba a pelear con él, pues muchos fans de Xander comentando que otro bulto, que cuando le van a echar un peleador de verdad, que otro costal de papas. Son los comentarios que yo vi sobre mí, la gente no me conoce, pero vi muchos comentarios también de fans que son míos, que respondiendo que no saben dónde se están metiendo, no saben con quién, no conocen a Samurai. Entonces, eso también es algo que me motiva mucho, el saber que bueno, la gente ya me sigue. Yo soy de Tijuana, vine al otro lado y ahorita estoy aquí con Robert García y creo que ya tengo un buen grupo de fans aquí en los Estados Unidos y alrededor del mundo. Entonces, eso me da mucha confianza también.
When the fight was announced, the poster was online and on social media. A lot of fans from Puerto Rico were saying that, that basically another tomato can that Xander Zayas is going to be facing. But at the same time, a lot of his fans that he has in the U.S. and in Mexico were posting, reposting the poster and making comments like they don't know who this guy really is, yeah, and that they made a mistake by accepting the fight with him, and that's what he feels and that's what he focuses on. That Xander's team and Xander Zayas definitely made a mistake by taking this fight, and on fight night they'll know who Samurai Sosa is.
Well, we wish you best of luck and thank you for a few minutes or your time and gracias for joining us.
Gracias por todo.
Así es. Muchas gracias, Marc. Y un saludote a toda la gente que es Team Samurai. Los espero este 27 de septiembre. A que no se pierdan la pelea, la gran pelea y una big fight, como se dice, ¿verdad? Gracias.
Thank you. There you have it, Damian Sosa, who takes on Xander Zayas this Friday night live on ESPN. Part of the Michaela Mayer, looking to become a 2-division world champion. She takes on Sandy Ryan for the WBO welterweight championship of the world. Friday night in Atlanta, Lisa Baumgartner defends her undisputed junior lightweight title against Delphine Persoon. Fight will be on Triller Plus, I believe, and I believe I saw it's on the schedule, Triller Plus. First fight back for Baumgartner since her controversy with a performance enhancement positive test. She takes on the tough Delphine Persoon, who gave Katie Taylor a couple good scraps several years back. Saturday in Sheffield, England, Rhiannon Dixon defends her WBO lightweight title against former 130-pound champion, actually the lady that Alicia Baumgartner defeated for her first world title, Terry Harper. That'll be live on DAZN, live from Sheffield in England. Saturday night in Philadelphia, Cohen Promotions, headed by had Emmy-nominated actress Kaylee Reese and former world champion Kaylee Reese. We'll have Leanna Cruz take on Melis Gangloff. A lot of good young fighters on that card, live on BXNGTV.com. And Tuesday night in Nashville, Maidel Sando takes on Derek Finley. You can see that on this channel on USA Today Sports, CountryBox247.com. So CountryBox continues. Also, we'll have what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. Vladislav Sarenko Just a brain freeze. Vladislav Sarenko, who just recently signed with Frank Warren, he will be on the card. Also, the pro debut of Josh Popper, former NFL, went to camp with a couple NFL teams. He's been in the news for some other things, and I think you will tune in and see him. He's a good fighter. He's a New York City Golden Gloves champion as well. Also, let's see here. We got going here. There's some news this week, November 9th. Jaron Boots Ennis will headline for the second time at Wells Fargo Center, right down the street from where we're sitting here in Philadelphia, as he takes on Karen Chakazian in a rematch of a fight nobody wants to see. I was actually at the first fight in Washington, D.C., January 2000, I believe 23. Ennis, who just dominated him, won every second of every round. Somehow Chakazian won a couple fights. The IBF makes him the mandatory, yada, yada, yada. Chakazian's promoter won the purse bid, but somehow they got this fight. Guess Matchroom made a financial arrangement with the Chakazian people to get this fight into Philadelphia. Co-feature will a heck of a fight. The WBC super flyweight champion Jesse Bam Rodriguez, 20-0, 13 knockouts, defends his world title against Pedro Guevara, 42-4-1, 22 knockouts. Guevara, who just defeated Maloney in Australia, now comes back to the United States to face one of the top fighters in the world. So you got Boots Ennis and Jesse Bam Rodriguez sharing one card in Philly. And guess what? We will be ringside for that fight. Can't wait to bring you all the fight week festivities, interviews with Rodriguez, Ennis, Guevara, Chakazian, everyone. Also on the card, I mean, it's a real stacked card. Former world champion Raymond Ford, 15-1-1, 8 knockouts, will fight in Philly, right across the river from where he's from, Camden, New Jersey. He takes on Orlando Gonzalez, 23-2, 12 knockouts. Also on the card be Khalil Coe, 9-0-1, 7 knockouts. Take on Manuel Gallegos, 22-1, 17 knockouts. The Matchroom debut of Ernesto Tito Mercado, a really good young fighter, 16-0, 15 knockouts. Plus Ammo Williams, a couple of the fighters, Dennis Thompson, and the chef Ismail Muhammad, who out of the Boots Ennis camp, will also be on the card. Well, that's our show for this week. We'll be back next week with some more interviews. We'll be in Nashville on Tuesday, Philadelphia on Saturday. Watch all the great fights this weekend. I want to thank Damian Sosa for joining us this week. So everyone enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll talk to you next weekend on the Abrams Boxing Show.